everybody.
Hello.
We're tired. There's been a lot of travel. So last time we did our vlog, we left off at Zion in Utah, which was amazing. We'd just eaten the bison.
You ate the bison.
I ate the bison. So that night was awesome. That place we stayed at was really, really cool, and we would definitely go back there in a heartbeat. The next day we got up and we got out early and explored Zion. Do you want to talk about where we went there?
Yeah. We decided against trying to do any too bigger crazy hikes. Why are you scrolling? Listen.
Keeps the thing open.
So we decided it was a bloody hot day. We just decided to do some smaller little hikes that we knew had some water at the end of them, which was nice. So we did one called, I think it was Emerald Pools or something like that.
We did one first before that one. It was the just from point A to point B one.
Oh yeah, we picked a trail to do purely because it said that it was the best for viewing some wildlife, which it did not lie. It
did not disappoint.
Yeah, it delivered. So we saw a lizard, some deer that had really freaking big ears.
Were they deer? I think that was something else.
I think they were deer.
We'll find out.
I'm pretty sure they were deer.
Desert deer, big ears.
Really big ears. They're like fennec foxes with cross deers.
Mm-hmm.
And then
the goats.
Yep, there was definitely some goats. That was real random. They were just like perched right up on the edge of the
mountain goats.
Yeah.
Legit mountain goats. But yeah, I just really wanted to talk about animals before we talk about the prawns one.
Yeah. No, I think that was about it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And then you said this other trail was moderate. So that was
yeah.
good.
yeah. So the second one was meant to be moderate. I'd say it was pretty moderate. Like it had
shitty bits.
It had a few steps and like hard parts, but it was fine. There was children doing it. I'm pretty sure there was lots of grey nomads doing it.
Yeah.
So it was fine.
We just needed to stop for little breaks with grey nomads.
Pretty much. That was awesome though. Yeah, it kind of went into the shade, so we got to like be not in the blasting hot sun all day.
After it got in the shade.
But it just it didn't even look real. Like the scenery was just so amazing, and like you would think it was a Bob Ross painting, and then you're just like, oh, actually it's right there. I can actually just walk over there. So yeah. It was pretty sick.
Yeah, it was really awesome. So we went and saw the waterfall area, and then we went to a different viewing of it. I think we went to sort of the top area a bit, and then went to the lower bit.
Yeah, it was just the different pools. There was like 3 different pools.
There was lots of different bits anyway. But that was really cool. Zion was amazing. After Zion, we drove to Bryce Canyon. So it was pretty dark when we drove there. We stayed at this little cabin place. It was like lots of little cabins, like tiny home type cabins.
Yeah, I sort of just booked this place on a whim, and I thought it was going to be probably a little bit dodgy, but it was like probably one of the best places we've stayed.
It's probably been the best beds and pillows we've had since we've been on the road.
Such a good night's sleep. It was amazing. Oh,
yeah,
so
it was
good.
a tiny little wooden cabin, and you'd think that it was stayed really warm, and the best bit about the cabin is it's not attached to anything else, so we didn't hear the people next to us. So that was really cool.
Yeah, and it just smelled like really nice wood. It was great.
Yep.
It's my favourite part about wood. Part. It smells nice.
But that was really cool. And then we went to explore, but we actually stumbled across this mossy cave sign that was on the side of the road, and we decided to pull over and go check that out.
You forgot about the deers. She glazed over the deers.
I'm sorry, I glazed over the deers.
When we were driving to Bryce Canyon, there was 2 parts actually to do with deers. One of them was a sign on the side of the road that's like what we have where there's going to be kangaroos, but it was a little deer, and he was doing like the little leapy deer thing, and we're like, oh, better watch out for deers. Is that one right at the bottom of the sign?
It was literally at the bottom of the sign.
There was just one just grazing on some grass at the bottom of the sign, so that was pretty. The sign was well placed.
Yep.
And then later on in the same night's drive, we were driving and we saw a couple of them on the side of the road, and once they got like a fright and went to leave, they did the little deer like boundy thing, like where they fully like bounce them like a little Bambi. It was adorable.
We were calling them springboks just because of the spring. We know they're not springboks, but
Yeah, they did the springy thing.
Yeah.
So that was cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, carry on with your mossy cave.
Yeah, the mossy cave. It wasn't that cavernous, but we got off and followed this little trail up, and there was a really cool stream that we watched. Played around in for a while, and then there was a waterfall, which was awesome. I got slow-mo footage of that, which was really cool. But we went behind the waterfall and played around in there, and then there was a little bit further up where there was a mossy cave, and it sort of explained that the water seeps through the stone and actually comes out from it was a spring that's in the ground, but rather than coming up from the spring into the ground and flowing over the rock actually absorbs it and then drips it out the bottom, which was really cool. And because it was sort of it wasn't really a cave, it was just kind of an overhang type area, but all the moss inside it all grown because it doesn't get much sunlight and all that sort of stuff. And they said that in the wintertime when the temperature drops, it all turns to ice, which would have been really cool to see.
Which is a little bit too early, but that is okay because it was still really cool.
There was an ice patch on the ground because it got to like 0 degrees.
Yeah, it was like -6
Yeah.
overnight. It was,
So there was ice around, but just not in the mossy bits.
Yeah, that was cool.
But yeah. So we went then and checked out Bryce Canyon. Bryce Canyon was amazing. There was a few different lookout areas we went to. Do you remember the story of what are they called? Bits that
the hoodoos. I learned a new word. So the little like rock formations that like are kind of like little columny sort of things, they're called hoodoos. And every time we'd see some, or like, I don't know, the map would be talking about it being the largest collection of hoodoos, we're like, oh, did you know that hoodoo over there? And she's just like, you're just wanting to use that word, aren't you?
Nikki learned a new term. Hoodoo. They had this story for Bryce Canyon, the Native Americans, and they said that originally there was these people, I can't remember the name of them, but there was a people, and they were kind of bad people, but they were also shapeshifters, and they could change between being people and and animals. They didn't really get deep into the story with this poster that was up, but they said that something happened and the gods of something decided that they were too bad and turned them all to stone. And when you look at them, at all these hoodoos, they're all lined up, and it really does look like they were people that just got turned to stone at some point.
It's kind of, you can see how that definitely is like a legend that they believe. It was really cool. Yeah.
Yep. So that was awesome. So we spent a little bit of time there, and then we drove to Las Vegas for round 2 of Las Vegas.
We had to come back to catch our flight out of Vegas, so we didn't really have a choice.
Yep.
But this time was much better than the first
stayed
time.
at a different hotel. It's called the M Hotel, and it was away from the strip. It was way out of the strip area, so we didn't get any of the noise from anything that was around.
It was so quiet, and it wasn't tacky, and it wasn't like
no one smoking inside.
Yeah, and it wasn't like middle-aged guys like sleazing on bloody tabletop dances and stuff. It was so much nicer.
Yeah, and our room was just ridiculous. It had like a TV in the bathroom mirror, and
there was a seat in the shower. Like the shower had like a bench seat built into it. Yeah. It
was awesome. And so that night we were so tired, like when we got there, but I was hungry as, and I think you were headachy, and you were just like, I don't want to go. And it took me ages to convince you to go check out the buffet for dinner.
Yeah, we had eaten something else earlier in the day, and I was still pretty full from that, so it took a lot to drag me to this buffet, but my god. It was the best. I think a few of you would have already seen the post about all of the things that I ate, but
it was the best buffet I've ever had in my life. There was like 200 at least 200 options of things that you could get,
not including dessert. They said, I think they said there was nearly 300 options if you included all of the dessert and like gelato and ice cream and stuff that you could get.
Normally
300 selections.
Normally go to a buffet and it's kind of all been sitting there for a while and it's a bit like meh. It was all so good. It was so good. I hate so many things. And yeah.
I don't know if you ate so many things. You
For
ate...
little Joey, I ate a lot of things.
She tried a clam strip.
I tried a clam strip. Had some mystery meat. It was really good. Yeah, no, we really thoroughly enjoyed the buffet.
Yeah, 10 out of 10. We'll go back again.
Just for the buffet. And then we stayed there the night, and that was really comfortable as well. And then the next day we got up bright and early, and we went to the Neon Museum. Was the Neon Boneyard?
Yeah, it's called the Neon Museum / Neon Boneyard. And it was where they have on display a whole bunch of the like vintage and what's the other word?
It's kind of like
retro. Vintage and retro neon signs and stuff that had been on hotels and casinos and stuff like that in Vegas. Some of the really, really famous ones, like one of the ones that they blew up for when Mars Attacks or whatever it was. Yeah, they just had so many really iconic, cool neon signs there, and it also just happened to be the time that they did a Tim Burton exhibition as well. So it was like two really freaking cool things combined, and I knew that display was coming, but I sort of hadn't really looked into why it was coming. I was like, it's a bit random, Tim Burton just doing a neon display thingy. But we learned once we went to the exhibit that it was because he'd spent a lot of time in Vegas growing up, and he really felt like Vegas helped shape his like artistic vision and why his art turned out the way it sort of did. So it was really, really cool to see that kind of reflected in this exhibit with all these really cool neon signs. It was sick.
They called their exhibition Lost Vegas, which was really cool.
Yeah.
When we were there, I overheard one of the guys who was like a tour guide there explaining that basically every 10 years the strip in Las Vegas almost recreates itself. So that's why they were able to get so many iconic like signs and things in there, because they were amazing back in the day. But as time's gone on, they've changed what's out there, and rather than throwing these things away, they've kept them, which is really cool. So that was amazing. We had a bit of time there, and then we had to get some food before we had to go back and catch our flight. So we sort of sussed some ideas around what we were going to do, and then we decided, screw it, we're just going to head back to the hotel and go have the buffet again.
So we went for buffet lunch this time.
Round 2.
And I saved much, much, much more room for dessert this time.
Yeah.
Well, that's a cannoli, that's a chocolate cake, that's a little fruit tart, and that's a s'more.
And how much of that are you going to eat, Miggy?
Probably more than this.
That was good, which in hindsight though, turned out being that full, not so good for running through an airport to try and catch a flight.
Maybe you should start back at what happened when we got to the airport.
So we get to the bloody airport, we dropped off our rental car, like we are so well timed for this thing, got plenty of time till we have to catch our flight, dropped our bags off in the bag check-in thingy, went through, found the area of the airport that we sort of needed to be in, like the terminal or whatever, and decided, oh yeah, okay, we'll just sit and chill here till we need to go and get organised to board our flight. What we didn't know as we were sitting there for approximately an hour and a half just chilling, spending time on our phones, getting a mocha frappuccino with soy milk, looking at the souvenir shops, was that we knew we needed to go through security, but we didn't realise that security takes a lot friggin' longer over there for a domestic flight than it does back home, and B, you need to get a bloody train from the terminal to the gates where you actually have to catch the bloody plane here. So we left it just stupidly close to when we thought we'd need to board the plane. Off we trundled to go through security. Security was a douche though. Yeah, they were douches. Anyway, we got through security, with maybe like 10 minutes till our plane was gonna leave. And then we realised we had to catch a train to the actual gates.
So we had to wait for the train to rock up,
Yeah.
which took probably only like 5 minutes, but it felt like an eternity when
Yeah.
we were running late.
So then we ran very full of buffet lunch through the airport just in time to see our plane being taxied back away from the gate, and we just kind of had to not cry.
Suck it up. I've never missed a plane in my life. It was just...
I have one other time, but that's okay. Yeah, that being said, Delta Airways that we were flying with were bloody awesome. First guy, not so much. But then this lady swooped in to the rescue and bloody just was a delight. Like, she was a delight. She got us a replacement flight for free. We did have to go from Vegas to San Diego and then San Diego up to Seattle. So it added on, I think we figured out maybe about an extra hour's worth of flight time all up. However, it meant we didn't get there for about another 4 hours later than we were meant to.
because of the waiting in between.
Yeah. So
She hooked us up with really awesome seats as well. Like we got these, I can't remember what the term for them. They weren't first class.
Comfort Plus, I believe.
Comfort Plus. Yep. On one flight we got Comfort Plus and we couldn't get that on the second flight, but she got us the emergency exit.
So we had heaps of leg room.
So we had heaps of leg room. They were really, really good flights.
But then also we were sort of shitting ourselves a little bit about what was going to be involved with getting our luggage, which ended up making its way onto the earlier flight and was in Seattle waiting for us. We're like, oh, is it even going to be there when we get there? Is it going to be lost? Like, what? We literally just walked up to this office where you go to collect baggage that, I don't know, you didn't get off the conveyor belt or something. And she's like, oh, yep, that's your bags right there.
All lined up nicely, ready to go.
It was the easiest thing ever. So
It was easier than waiting for the conveyor belt if we had a caught it.
It really was. It was like someone did the hard work of finding our bags for us and lined them up ready to go. So that's fine. Got a new car, new hire car, and drove.
SUV this time.
Yeah. Drove down to Portland, which
It's another 2 hours, 2.5 hours.
it was closer to 3. I reckon it was over 3. It was over 3.
So that was a big day.
Definitely am glad I didn't kill us on that drive.
Probably should have had a power nap.
It was about 2:30 when we got to the Airbnb. So yeah.
So pretty much we got to the Airbnb and crashed. So we didn't see much of it. But when we got up in the morning, we realised this Airbnb was amazing. Like the property that it was on was insane. And we had plans for the day, so we didn't do much exploring that day, but it was really, really awesome. And seeing it during the light, driving in and out of the area where it was, brilliant. It was in Portland. It's a suburb of Portland, but it's Oregon City. And I would live there in a heartbeat. If someone gave me a house and was like, here you go, I would move from Australia to Portland City in a heartbeat.
It just was so amazingly stunning. Like the autumn leaves and the greenery and
The colours.
it just, honestly, they were so bright and vivid that it does not look real. But yeah, it just shits all over any autumn foliage we've got back home. So yeah.
So our plan for the day was, you guys have heard of Salem, yeah? Salem, where the witch hunts are. There's apparently a really awesome Salem Witch Museum, and we were like, sweet, we'll go check that out. And we set in the Google Maps to go to Salem, and we drove an hour to Salem.
Wearing a witch-themed outfit, mind you.
And when we got there, we were like, alright, we should probably Google the museum. And we're like, why does Google Maps keep pointing at Massachusetts? We're like, it's
Which,
like,
for those of you that aren't good at geography, is over the opposite side of the country.
Yeah. So it turns out that there's 2 Salems, and we were in the wrong one. We were in the one that was not related to the witch trials.
Yep. And it took us Googling an article about Salem in Oregon, And one of the things in it that the locals are sick of hearing is like, oh, Salem, like where the witch trials were. And they're like, no, other side of the country. We're those people.
We're like, oh. So that was a good drive.
Yeah.
We looked for something else to do in Salem and there was nothing.
There was literally nothing to do in Salem.
So
Like,
we
nothing.
turned around and drove an hour a bit back to Portland.
Yeah. I mean, it was a lovely picturesque drive.
Oh, you know what I did see on the way there and on the way back? Fields of marijuana.
So much marijuana.
So many. And the fencing, not that much.
It's literally like they were bloody growing apples. Like,
They're just trusting everybody that drives. It was right next to a highway, like everyone drives by. I think one of them had a sign saying, "Do not cross, punishable by death."
no, I didn't see that.
I think something like that. But the others didn't have any signs, nothing to say don't come and borrow.
Weed. Moving on, we went into actual Portland after deciding Salem was a write-off. So drove on into Portland and we went to this really freaking cool bookshop. It was like, what, how many levels do you reckon it was?
At least 4, I think. 3 or 4 levels. It was definitely at least 3.
Yeah, it had like different coloured rooms that had like...
Think of like a Maya department store type deal.
Yeah, kinda, but different book genres
And all books.
it just was so cool. So like,
It was called Powell's City of Books.
yeah, so you go to like a regular library and you might have, you know, maybe like one long shelf of like science fiction and fantasy or whatever. This had a whole bloody room, like a whole room, and you could sell secondhand books there and like buy them. So you'd go to a shelf and you'd find a book series that you really liked, and they might have had like 3 or 4 different cover art, like, you know, different covers that have been published and stuff like that, and might have been hardback and paperback and stuff. It was just so cool.
We found the book that Megan lost on the train that she borrowed from me a few years ago, so we got that again.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was like, imagine if you remember Borders, it was a lot like Borders except times like 10.
And not like a chain, like it was just its own thing. It was so cool.
So that was really cool. And then we just went to this brewery on the corner for dinner. Tater tots meal, like this big, with potato gems.
I got tochos, which is nachos but with tater tots instead of corn chips, and it was amazing.
Portland people love their breweries, like their microbreweries. Like there was like one on every corner for a little while there. And there was just pubs all over the place.
Oh, and I had the best donut of my life, which I still have a little bit left.
You should eat that
I'm gonna.
before. You should eat it.
I'm gonna. I'm looking at
After
it right now, and
this.
it's over there.
After this, donut time.
But yeah, this donut, next level. It wasn't like sickly and like fatty tasting like a regular donut. It was like a cake donut. I'm kind of in a food coma already just thinking about it.
After there, we attempted to go check out this tiki bar that Megan had found, and we've been promising to go to a tiki bar for a while now.
And it was meant to be one of the best, like the top tiki bars in bloody America.
We went to it and we went inside and it looked amazing.
Yes.
And then she comes up and she's like, hey, would you like a booth or like a seated table or at the bar? And we're like, oh, at the table would be awesome. And she's like, cool, just need to see ID. And we're like, no worries. Pull out our ID that's worked in every other place in the entire country so far, which was just our driver's license. And she's like, yeah, nah, you have to have your passports. And we haven't been carrying our passports around because we've just been a bit iffy about losing them. So it would have been a 35-minute drive back to the Airbnb to get them. So
I just went out into the street and had a cry.
in the rain.
Yep. It was really sad.
It was so sad. Mascara like ran down. It was adorable but very sad.
So I cried in Portland, but that's okay. Joe's promised that we can go to a different tiki bar in Seattle and we'll have our passports.
I googled Seattle and tiki bars and there's like 5 of them. So we're doing that. Like that's going to be on the list of things that we have to do with our passports.
Good.
Yep. So we just went back to the Airbnb after that, and then had a good nap. Slept really well. And then this morning we got up early enough that we could explore around the Airbnb property before we left. And we left ourselves about an hour to look around, and it was not enough. We spent more time than we should have. We were out the door a little bit later than we should have been, just because the place was amazing. We wandered down the hill and went along the creek.
It just felt like something out of the Secret Garden. This property was just amazing. Like, it had a creek, it had so many trees that felt like you were in the bloody wilderness.
Felt like you're in a forest.
Yeah, apparently at the right time of year there's beavers, there's newts, which we didn't get to see any of, but we saw a really cool big bird that would look like some sort of Pokemon.
We saw slugs too.
Saw some really big... Did you get any beavers?
No, I didn't. Should have. I was too busy avoiding stepping on them.
Yeah, and they like to eat mushrooms, apparently. Yeah. And then after that, was that all you wanted to say about that?
Yeah.
Then we drove up to Forks. You want to talk about Forks?
Forks? Well, who remembers Forks? And the bush? They're from Twilight.
We drove to the Twilight
Town, which was like 4 hours away. When we were first coming, I was having a laugh looking at the area, like things to do in Washington, and the Twilight thing came up, and I was like, Little Joe likes Twilight. And we started looking around, and it's actually a cool area, so we decided to drive up here.
Yep.
And the whole way here it was like 4 hours of forest. It was crazy. It was so much nicer than 4 hours of desert.
Yes.
Yes.
I mean, desert was cool in its own right, but 4 hours of driving through desert gets a little bit same. This just, like, even though it was 4 hours of driving through amazing nature, it just didn't get old. That 4 hours went so fast.
Yeah. So we got here and we came to the Airbnb. It's the first time that our hostess insisted on meeting us here and taking us through the house, and
she was lovely.
Lovely.
Chatterbox, but lovely.
Yes.
So we had to kind of like usher her out the door to be like, okay, we're gonna get our bags now, bye.
Yeah, but she was lovely. The house is cool. It looks kind of like a trailer parky thing that they've put a roof on top of the whole thing on the outside. It's blue, it's kind of cute, but it still looks a bit trailer parky. But then inside, it's actually really nice.
Yeah, it's
Cozy.
adorable. Yeah, I like it.
Cozy. Yes, then we headed back out again and we went down to La Push,
which is the beach area out of Twilight, for those of you that don't know.
Yeah, it's the Native Americans in this area, the Quileutes, I think you pronounce it. I can never get it right.
Quileutes? Something like that.
It's their reservation down here. So we went and checked that out because they're a real thing, not just a Twilight thing. And then we went to Rialto Beach, which was just on the other side of the water from there, and it was amazing. We drove there and we could see the water on the other side of the trees and whatnot. But when we got there, the car park kind of has a whole bunch of really huge logs up on the edge before you go over the top to where the ocean is. And I was like, why is there all that foam? Like, sea foam, what's it doing over here? And then we walked up and we got over and there's just and you look out and there's like little island things out there. It looks like it's straight out of Skyrim. Like, there should definitely be a quest out there.
Oh yeah, there should have been a what do you call those things? A crypt full of Draugr out there just waiting for me to come through and just kill them all.
Yeah. So we spent quite some time there, and then we head back into Forks and just got some dinner and came back to the Airbnb. This brings us to where we are right now. Tired, but happy.
I will find a tiki bar in Seattle.
Tiki bar in Seattle. It'll be in the next video. You wait.
Yes, good.
That's it. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
What's up in the cliff?
Let's go.
Goats.
see no hoes, just goats. Except for